Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tea Time. I'm here with the lovely, the genius, the beautiful Miss Talia, your co-host, and I am here, Tyrone, with the Circle Club, and we're here in the middle, as you can see, with the king himself, Mr. Elvis.
Thank
uh,
you. Thank you very much.
Adam, our resident historian, the perfect man, honestly, to ask about this movie. This guy knows this back and forth.
Mm.
Probably has harassed me and Talia about Elvis for 3 months, just ready to rip and roll. Um, so let's just jump into it.
Let's
Initial
do it.
reaction, your first, just good, bad, middle. What do you think about Elvis, both of you?
Talia, ladies first.
Ladies first. Good.
It was a really good movie. Like obviously we went to see it a second time
Yep.
um with no hesitation.
Yeah.
I think it will definitely get a nomination. I don't know for best picture or Austin Butler getting something, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I went into it really no expectations. I like
Mhm.
Elvis. I respect Elvis. I didn't really know what to make of this. I was like, is this gonna be like a puff piece? Is this gonna be sort of like just completely not accurate or anything? But I was thoroughly impressed, and I want to see more from different artists as well. What about
Mhm.
you, Professor?
I I went in opening night, nervous. My palms were sweaty. I was nervous. Like, oh my god, please
He
don't
was.
murder
Spaghetti.
my baby.
Yeah.
He was nervous.
Don't murder my baby. But it
Yeah.
was really good. It was really good. Went back a second time, more relaxed. I'm like, all right, I know what I'm in for. But
Mm-hmm.
it was even better the second time. It was
Mm.
awesome. Um, they did take creative liberties, which I feel like they do with all movies.
Everything. Yep.
But what, like, even doing homework for this, like some of
Yeah.
the stuff I didn't know that I wanted to know,
Yeah.
like it's pretty foolproof. It's rock solid.
Pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only like one thing I didn't know how credible or truthful it was when JFK had his assassination, and then like the Christmas special. Like I don't know if did those actually happen around the same time or.
So it was Bobby, it was his brother, Bobby
Okay.
Kennedy, right?
Okay.
So Bobby, I forget when Bobby died, but he died in the California primary. He just won it,
Mm.
what, like 68,
Yeah.
I think. But Elvis wrote,
68.
if I
Yep.
can,
June
he
6th.
wrote that, and they showed it in the movie, like him on the
Mhm.
floor writing, "If I Can Dream," in
Mm-hmm.
like response to Kennedy getting assassinated.
Yeah.
And that's how he wanted to end the special, which I mean, he ends the special just in the movie with that.
Yeah.
Dressed in all white, he got the white tux, red lights on Elvis right behind him, just like in the movie.
Mm.
It he didn't write it during the special.
Yeah.
Like,
Of
it wasn't
course.
like in the special. We need
Yeah.
to have an ending. But like Bobby got assassinated. He's like, damn man, like
We need this right now.
I do feel like I need to like express myself here.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you listen to the song, it's like still true, still holds true.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good to hear a song like that too, and I thought like the MLK connection and all that stuff,
Yeah.
just perfect timing. And I thought that was an important moment to add too because there's always like a lot of controversy about Elvis before this movie, after, whatever, because some people think that he sort of stole black culture and all these things, and then I think because of how his manager handled
Mm.
everything, you would sort of think that he was ignorant and not know that, or like think that he doesn't have a relationship with some of these artists that he's taking music from. And I thought the way that they displayed that in this really showed kind of both sides of it, and also they just showed that like he wanted to be more involved, and he was friends with who was it, BB King.
Yeah.
And like they added that photo that they took together, that moment, which is pretty cool. And
Mhm.
also that Elvis wasn't accepted, and that's one of my favorite parts about seeing biopics, whatever you want to call it, is like sometimes I think people look at music today, or even like the 2000s. It's like Lil Wayne. It's like, oh, all they talk about is girls and money and drugs and this music is the devil and blah blah blah. And then it's like it's interesting when you look back and see, Michael Jackson, Elvis, the Beatles, like all of these sort of big musicians, they all went through this crazy thing of like just crazy media scrutiny. So I for one, my initial reaction, I was very, very happy with it. And I think Austin Butler getting anything less than an Oscar nomination is just, I mean, robbery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Go ahead, yeah.
Talia, please.
Yeah.
No, go.
I defer to you, Tyrone, for the movie, like, specialty.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, the movies I've seen, hand to God, in all honesty, can't think of a better performance.
No, there's a few movies coming out. I think Leo's got one this year. I think Gosling's got one that people are buzzing about that might happen. Hanks might have something down the line. But of all the movies, I think this has been a really strong TV year. But as far as movies, there hasn't been a ton. And the movies that have been really well received, there's been more of an ensemble to them. Like I keep talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. There's no male lead really to take that from Austin, and I think that he just clearly has to be like top of the line favorite. And then when you talk about like, no offense, I love Rami Malek. I mean, literally got an autograph from the guy right here. I just didn't think his Freddie Mercury really sold me the way that this version of Elvis did. I thought it was still good, but it just didn't, like, watching this, you literally didn't know at times. You're like, is this CGI? Is this actual Elvis footage? Like, he really nailed it. And, everyone tries to be funny on the internet and make fun of him. It's like, clearly this is someone who really dived into the character because he nailed that shit, so.
Yeah, wasn't it like 2 to 3 years he was studying this?
Yeah, I saw
dedication.
Yeah, and I saw a clip where Vanessa Hudgens, his previous girlfriend, like years before he even got casted, was like, she's like, yeah, I was at his house and he was playing piano and he was singing along, and I was like, man, he would be really good for Elvis. So like maybe this is even something like he's been manifesting for a long time, but
yeah,
I saw that clip and I was like, huh.
And I always forget that like Austin Butler is a musician too, so he kind of knows like firsthand like how to perform, how to like just train for something like this. So
let's talk about it for a second. Like, dude was in like all like Zoe 101, Ned Declassified, like all these Disney shows and things, and it's like you don't really expect someone from that Disney Nickelodeon path to end up being in a position like this. And no, this is again, I would be really shocked. I mean, the put it this way, the other movies coming out this year, they're gonna have to compete against Austin Butler in this if they want a shot. So
absolutely.
I was curious, Adam, from a history standpoint, was there anything that you learned that you didn't know prior, anything that was different, or anything that you're like, oh, the audience should like know this about Elvis?
Well, I didn't know. So Hank Snow, who's the guy who he goes on tour with in the beginning,
yes,
actually introduced Elvis to Tom Parker, because Tom Parker was his manager, right? So he introduces him, and like he wasn't like anti-Elvis at all. It was just Parker saw an opportunity to make millions upon millions of dollars on this Elvis guy. So I'm gonna drop Hank Snow and just represent Elvis by himself. Like Elvis is my client, and that's it.
That was kind of a shocking thing too. I was like, I did not see that coming at all. Tom Parker too, like just totally vicious. And I thought to put Tom Hanks in that role of Tom Parker was like, we don't expect like Tom Hanks to be a bad guy. And like the way he's narrating the story, you like sort of feel bad. You're like, man, like, this guy really can't get under himself, but he is really just a despicable guy. Like,
not like the OG, not good person / manager. And like, I was doing research. There's so little known about him, which is hilarious to me. To this day, like people think he committed a murder and he fled to America. That's how he got here.
Yeah.
It's stuff about him is crazy.
Stuff about that. That's what's so interesting about that time period too. Is this is like I think about that. I'm like, man, I feel like you could have done anything. It was a wild, wild west. Like people were afraid to go outside now. I'm like, you didn't know who you were dealing with back then. You can't take a photo on your phone, and you know it's wild. And we will never know. But the other thing I had learned from you just sitting there, the guy who was in Stranger Things, Zachary Montgomery, he was in running potentially to be Elvis.
Yeah.
That which is he plays. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the names. I'm like Sadie from Stranger Things, his older brother.
Is it Billy? I forgot.
Billy, yes, yes,
Yep.
plays Billy. He did really well too, and that was something I noticed too about the movie. It felt like it wasn't just the Austin Butler show; like the other people around really brought the movie out as well.
I thought the actress who played Priscilla did a very good job too.
Yes,
Didn't
Olivia
have a
DeJonge.
ton to work with, but like
Yeah,
the part she was in, like you felt her presence.
definitely. Was
I
there?
also thought.
Go ahead, Talia.
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say like I also thought the people who like were playing Elvis's parents too, especially
Mhm.
like the dad, whoever his name is, I'm forgetting, but
Yeah.
like you kind of
Vernon.
just see, yes, no, like the actor's name.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Richard
no, but-
Rober is what it says. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you can just, or at least just the portrayal they had on those characters or those people, just how like weak they were really throughout his career, which it's like you don't really see that much like with the parents being involved, but when you do, it's not the greatest. I feel like
Yeah.
that was something like I noticed. I was like, yeah, that's terrible what they've
Yeah.
done or what they could have helped him with.
And also just like seeing like the dude play Hank Snow, Big Mama, Big Boy, the kid who played BB King, Kelvin Harris Jr. He was in this A24 movie called Waves, actually with the girl who plays Maddie. She's in that movie as well.
Really?
It's a very good movie. Look it up, Waves. He did really good, but like I thought his BB King impression was really good. Like I like watching some of these characters. I was like, dang, I would like Baz to like make like a, I don't know, like a multiverse of rock and roll or something, and like connect these characters. You got BB King come back or something else, but yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with this movie. I have to say.
Yeah. I think everyone did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Was there any other little pieces you wanted to add in there, Adam? Differences you noticed, or facts, or things you should pick out?
So 2 things that really kind of stuck out to me. Elvis got his hairstyle from Captain Marvel Junior comics, like the little twirl.
Yeah.
He got it from Captain Marvel Jr., which is hilarious.
Love that.
That's
Love
awesome.
that. Yeah. I thought that was a nice little like fun fact, and I looked it up, and it's true. It's 100% true. Like he was like a comic book nerd. He loved that stuff, which is
And
interesting.
they were so popular back in the day too.
Yeah,
So
and
like that was so widespread back in the day that like
yeah. It's also funny too to think about because like I think when you think stereotypically about superheroes and comics and stuff, usually people like the kids who are really into it, it's like you feel like you can connect to this character, you feel like this outcast, like they get you. And I think that they kind of showcase that that's what Elvis really was. I thought showing him in the ghetto in the beginning, like in the younger kid, I thought he did really well. I liked those scenes a lot. Them just showing his discovery of like, whoa, what is this gospel? Like that was a really like cool, fun moment. Them actually hearing Tom Parker hearing Elvis on the radio, and everyone else being like, kind of like, what the heck is this music? And him being like, wait, that's a white boy, like, and just like ching ching, and like his eyes like light up, like that was really. There was a lot of really funny moments in this movie too. Definitely got a lot of good replay value, I would say, compared to some other biopics as well. Like this is definitely one I can see myself getting on Blu-ray and being like,
Oh yeah.
watching this in 10 years with my kids or something.
I can't wait. Comes to what, HBO Max in like a month,
Yes.
Day one, watch.
Back on it. Back on it. Yeah.
Now,
I will-
Talia has a fun fact about the movie, though, which I'm
Ooh.
hoping they release with the Blu-ray.
Which
Talia,
was
if you want to
Me?
share it with me. Yeah, remember that article you showed me?
Oh. I'm like, what? No, so I read an article that Baz has a lot more, scenes that he didn't include into the movie.
Ooh.
I think it's like 4 hours worth that he shot for Elvis.
You know what's
And one of them being, I think Adam could talk more about it, about
Yeah.
Elvis meeting President Nixon. Is it?
Yeah.
dude, come on.
There-
Come on. This is
so much into the movie, and like even like the little Easter eggs
yeah.
that like you're not looking for, it probably go right over your head. But
Yeah.
like as you can tell, I was like, I saw it, I was like, oh, like the Leo,
Like, I got to get more of this.
Ah.
like Elvis meeting Nixon. It was the early '70s. He just went to the White House just cause he's
Yeah.
Elvis and he can do what he wants basically. He
Yeah.
just rolls up to the front gate. He's like, hey, can I meet the president? And they're like, this is not how this works. And Nixon was hurting for popularity, so like they had
Yeah.
a meeting, they took a picture. It's like the most requested picture in the library
Right,
of
yeah,
Congress.
because I thought, because wasn't it, maybe it was Reagan I'm thinking of. What I know one of them had like a photo with Elvis and like they didn't want the public to see it because they were like nervous. Maybe it was, I'll look it up after this, but maybe it wasn't that. But this is actually, I'm glad that you said that because this is a perfect medium or type of movie, a biopic, to have that extra footage, right? Like you can't fit stuff into the movie, but like, and that's what they used to do back in the day, like the bonus features of movies and DVDs. This feels perfect to do that because like there's still real moments that are just being acted out of Elvis's life. Whereas like if you see an extra scene in like a Marvel movie or something, you're like, all right, this isn't canon. But like obviously with a biopic it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very
Yeah, and I also. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, so I'm very excited to see that. And I actually, do they put that on HBO Max, like the bonus features and stuff? Because
That I
usually it's
don't
Blu-rays,
know.
yeah.
Probably
Yeah, it might be a
Blu-rays, if
Blu-ray.
anything.
Either way,
But-
take my money.
Yeah, and I also,
yeah.
I also feel like with, I was telling Adam this, with like biopics, I feel like a lot of the times they will just include everything
Yeah.
with that person's life, which at times can get boring.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you just lose your attention. And that's
Mhm.
what I appreciate with Baz's directing of this movie. It's just, very
The good.
cut, the good stuff. And because, maybe he didn't add these couple of clips, which probably could have also been good as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't, because like it probably just would have been like a lot of just
Yeah, because it felt long at some points, and not because it wasn't interesting, but you're like, this is a long movie.
yeah.
And I think that, to your point, Talia, like just giving us the best parts, the best hits, and I think they could do that because they went from the Tom Parker narrative as well. So it was sort of like, we're seeing Elvis's perspective, but we're also still in Tom Parker's story. So that way it doesn't become this thing where you feel like you're getting like, oh, we're getting robbed. We're not getting the full Elvis story.
Oh,
'Cause it's like,
yeah,
it's not just an
absolutely.
Elvis story. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we already have so many movies about Elvis anyways, so
And
this kind of gives
documentaries, yeah.
and documentaries, so it gives a different perspective
Yeah.
of highlighting this artist.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Adam, what was the other little piece you had there? Was that it?
So there's one kind of big historical inaccuracy,
Okay.
but they do it for a reason. But so that scene when he's in Vegas
And he's
he
drinking
calls
Coke.
up- No, no, no.
It's supposed to be a Pepsi or something like.
No, he's at Vegas, right? He's
Yeah.
performing and he starts calling out Tom Parker, calling him like a snake and a weasel and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
On stage, that didn't happen. What did happen, because Elvis, they don't call everybody the king for nothing.
Right.
The hotel fired, I think like a server or something.
Mm-hmm.
His wife got just diagnosed with cancer,
Mm.
and they fired him. So he was on stage like blasting the hotel, like, you're all having a good time here, but meanwhile this hotel is firing people like when they need him the most. Like he's blasted the hotel on stage in front of
Good for
everybody.
him.
And Parker, like afterwards, got like
Yeah.
in his face, like, you can't do that. They pay our bills. And I was like, I'm Elvis Presley. I don't give a damn. I do what
Yeah.
I want to. like did try to fire him, like they do in the movie,
Mm.
but it wasn't like on stage like that.
Right, yeah, yeah. See,
And
see,
then when
and
he
that,
did try to fire him, Parker really handed him a bill like worth like $5 million. Been like, this is what I need.
oh, I'm
man.
sure he's a scumbag. Like I just, like I don't even know what the real guy looks like, and I'm just like, ugh, like I just. He like that scene ticked me off the most.
Oh yeah.
Because I was just like, dude, you didn't do anything. I feel that's like so heavily about like agents and all these things now. It's like they are an important part in their relationship, and they they got to make their ends meet. But like it's like you gotta know, and it's you see it in sports all the time too. Like these owners will try to act like they're bigger than the stars. It's like we're going to see them, not you, And I think Parker, sort of because he had his own insecurities based on this film and his own hidden past that he didn't want to share, he was just projecting that onto Elvis and wanted to feel important and special and all that, and went about it a very scummy way.
I mean, to his credit though, we're gonna call a spade a spade.
Yes.
He, in the beginning of Elvis's career, Elvis may not have been as big as he was without him. Like, he
100%.
disappeared in the army for 2 years, and like he was like off the map.
100%.
2 whole years, and Parker kept him alive, kept him going. Even like the movie deals, like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like an actor or like a singer who
Yeah.
did like movies other than like Frank Sinatra. I can't think of another.
And
At that
see,
level.
the thing is too is he probably at the time thought those deals were going to be a lot better than they were, but he had tunnel vision because you got like if they were adapting and going with the times and all that, those movies probably could have been actually pretty big. But by putting Elvis into that little like box, it kind of limited him. One thing that you had said to me that shocked me too was that, and this is a little bit of a hot take maybe, but Elvis didn't really have a like staple album, but just many hits. And it was interesting because I kind of like was sitting here as a phony as myself. I'm like, yeah, I can't think of like an Elvis album to even name. Like I know the songs, I can sing them, and I'm like, what is Elvis's like premiere album? Like what would you say is his premiere album?
I don't because the beginning part of his career, the way
Yeah.
music worked, people didn't drop albums like that.
Yeah,
Like their album would be like 2 singles on a back-to-back floppy disk. That'd be their
Right.
album.
right.
And then it was either like 56 or 58. He literally had 4 songs go number 1. Like for the entire year, Elvis was number 1.
Yeah,
Different songs.
yeah,
Crazy. Anyway,
yeah.
so like in the beginning half of his career, he didn't really have there were no albums like that. But then as it got later on, because of the movie deal he signed, he also had a contract to his record studio where he had to print out an album every year. He don't have time to write a whole album and then go shoot a movie. So what they did was the soundtrack of the movie would be the album for the year. So like, a movie like Viva Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas, a song is a classic. And then maybe like 1 or 2 other ones, and the rest are all just duds.
And that I was gonna say that
his
does make
big
sense.
album
Yeah.
Would be like probably like late 70s when they start doing like the live from TD Garden Elvis CD.
Right.
I got a Funko Pop like the CD cover, and it's pure gold. Like that's the name of the album. It's Pure Gold.
Yeah.
And it's just it's his concert in Hawaii. Like that's what the album is. It's just a recording of his concert in Hawaii.
It's funny
So
because
it's
the
not
only
like Happy Mood or Dark Side of the Moon or anything like that.
It's funny because and I think about that in like today's perspective, the only band, artist, musician, anyone that I actually listen to live, and I mean like a CD or playing on whatever streaming, is Coldplay. Like I love Coldplay live albums. Like there's something about them that is really. I'm sure there's others that are really great too, but that's sort of my go-to. But that's a good point too to mention up, because I think that when we talk about Elvis stealing music and stuff, I feel like a lot of people don't really know the truth about behind the music industry. Is that black artists would make way more money lending their songs out and stuff to white artists, and that would allow Motown and some of these other things to grow because they're lending their music out, because we all know it wasn't fair. They wouldn't allow like the Jackson 5 to get the same run ever that Elvis would or whatever. And there's a breaking point where it's like, okay, they're making us too much money, but I think that it was a different world where people would like trade songs and sing each other's songs, and And so I think obviously nowadays we are a lot more critical of our history and decisions we make, as we should be. But I think there's no doubt in my mind that no one was really thinking about it that way back in the day. Like they were just kind of like, oh shoot, Elvis, you're gonna sing my song? Like that's tight. You know, like that's what I would assume like most people's perspective was. And then we even got a little bit of that with BB King in the beginning in that movie. That was a really underrated but great scene, is when they were on the rooftop sort of talking to each other, and he kind of gave Elvis this push to be like, listen man, like you can really do whatever you want, like you're a star. And I'm sure like that might be like a hyperbolic scene or moment that maybe altered a little bit, but he definitely had to have those sort of conversations with someone to be like, dude, you don't have to really go what Tom Parker says, you know, get your own record label. So and I thought that was a really creative way too that Baz showed those moments. Is it didn't take you out of the story, and naturally just sort of progressed. So yeah. So one question I want to ask you guys before we head out of here. So we all really liked the Baz Elvis movie. So who would you like to see if you couldn't see Elvis? Like who would be the other artist you'd see? So I guess to clean it up, who would you like to see Baz Luhrmann take on next after Elvis?
Oh.
So I'll take this one first, Tilly. I'll let you think of a good one. So Baz specifically Baz.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if he did like a Jimi Hendrix, would be crazy. Like I just picture, all along the Watchtower with like Baz style. That
yes.
I mean, that's just right.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know a ton about Jimi Hendrix too. Like I've heard some of his music. Like I just listened to one of his albums like 2 weeks ago for the first time ever, but everyone knows who Jimi Hendrix is, but they don't know who he is. So I think that would be a really cool one for sure.
If I could make one quick suggestion before we wrap, if you like the movie or you just want to know more about Elvis, on HBO Max they have this documentary called Elvis Presley: The Searcher. It's 2 parts. It's produced by Priscilla, and they do a fantastic job. Like it's all like recordings from like interviews and stuff. It's awesome.
Definitely something I have had on my add to list on HBO Max for a hot minute. I was like, I gotta see this movie first. So that's definitely on there. Talia, what about you? Who would you like to see Baz Luhrmann take on next?
See, I want to try to think of someone that's not an artist.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're just steering towards that.
Okay.
But I'll pick an artist for now because I don't know who he would do besides an artist.
Yeah.
Maybe like Amy Winehouse or like
Ooh.
Kurt Cobain or something.
Ooh, I like that. I'm a big Amy guy. I love Amy. That would be a really
right?
depressing story, though. Let me tell you.
It definitely would be a twist to it.
Like a Gatsby type depressing, like.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Or maybe like a Heath Ledger, but I don't know if that's too soon to like do a biopic on someone.
No. It's been some time, so
that
would be an interesting one too. Yeah.
We're just thinking everyone with sad endings, huh? No happy endings. At
You know,
the end of the movie for everybody.
There are like we do like a movie on like Morgan Freeman or something like that.
There you go.
When that happens, that's gonna be funny. But I would say it's a very obvious pick, but I would say Michael Jackson. You just go Mike or Michael or MJ, like something like that. It's got the name, the buzz. They would have to really take their time with that one, just because it's like, you got to make sure you get all the stuff in there. As a big MJ fan, I would even like to see some of the allegations, regardless of what you believe. But like just to see how he kind of dealt with that. I mean, there's been so many celebrities, right? Like Cole McCulkin and like just all the like Aaron Carter who've come out and been like, Elvis and I were really friends. Like we had this involved. I mean, not Elvis, Michael Jackson. We had this involved. So you could get you could have them literally be in the movie playing those scenes, or you could have like people playing them. So then it's like we're getting these fun cameos, sort of how we did in Elvis. Where we're seeing BB King and other people. Like, I think that would be kind of like a fun way to do it. But Baz knows how to put on a show, knows how to have a good time. before we go and wrap this up, out of 5, what would you give this movie? Talia?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Yes.
Why am I always first? After the first time I saw it, I probably would have given it a 4. Second time I watched it, like a 4.5.
Okay. What about you, Adam?
I'm kind of similar. First viewing, I probably gave it a 4.
Okay.
Second viewing, 5. I can't wait, man. I got my
Boom.
own class coming in the spring. I'm gonna get
Yes.
the movie poster. I'm gonna put it in
Yes.
the back of the class. It's gonna be
So you know what that means? That's a certified boom Circle Club classic there. Then I would agree. Like, I mean, you know, people say you can't give out 5s, you can't give out that. I'm like, when you have a movie that just entertains you for 2.5 hours, like, I can't think of like what was that boring moment. You know, like, honestly, there could have been, if anything, there could have been moments where they could have upped the ante and be more dramatic. You know. But I would say that I would give this a 4.8, like 4.8, and that's me just being as realistic as I can. I think the one sort of knock is I think maybe they could have went the distance for me if they didn't choose Tom Hanks, because I feel like Tom Hanks he's just that guy you want to love, you want to like, and I feel like if they could have chose someone to be like Homelander or something, where you're just like, God, I hate this guy, I hate his face. Like, I think that would have probably served the character a little bit more, because they could have got real nasty with it. But the thing about Baz is he wants it to be a little bit lighthearted, a little bit fun. He doesn't want you to be depressed for 2.5 hours, because really, the projects that he's doing, they are pretty depressing. So, yeah. But you heard it here from Tea Time, folks. This one is a certified classic. You got to see this. I'm pumped now about that bonus content. I did not know about that, so... Yeah. Woo. All right, guys. We make new content every single week, so make sure you tune in. Professor Adam, thank you for showing up, Mr. King.
It was a pleasure. Anytime.
Loved it. Talia, as always, thanks for being on. We'll see you guys in the next video.